a struggling single mother, a broken-down car on a freezing night, and a stranger who stopped to help when he didn't have to. What followed is a story that would change not only her life, but the lives of everyone around her. This is the story of how one small act of kindness transformed an entire community. It was 2012. Detroit was still bleeding from the wounds of the financial collapse. Once the proud capital of the auto industry, it had become a city of survival streets lined with abandoned houses, schools struggling to stay open, families scraping together whatever hope they could muster. But beneath the struggle was resilience. Ordinary people determined to make it through another day. In a small apartment on the east side, Sarah Mitchell woke to the sound of her alarm. 33 years old, single mother of one. Her day began before sunrise, and it wouldn't end until well past midnight. She worked 2 jobs, day shifts as a receptionist at a community clinic, and evenings at a downtown diner. The exhaustion showed in her eyes, but her spirit refused to break. She carried herself with quiet strength. Once upon a time, Sarah had been an art student, sketching vivid illustrations and dreaming of becoming a children's book artist. But life had other plans. When her partner walked out and her daughter Lily was still in diapers, Sarah traded her brushes and pencils for a paycheck. Responsibility left no room for dreams. Lily was her light, bright, curious, with a boundless love for books. Sarah encouraged her daughter's imagination, even when the refrigerator was half empty and collection calls had to be silenced. She wanted more than survival for Lily. She wanted a future. Next door lived Mr. Thompson, a retired auto worker, 67 years old, widowed, his children scattered across the country. He filled his lonely days tending to his small patch of grass, occasionally helping Sarah with hers. Gruff in demeanor, but beneath it, a heart quietly aching for connection. This was the fragile ecosystem of working-class Detroit, a place where asking for help felt like weakness, where people bore their burdens silently, and yet, beneath the silence, there was a hunger for kindness, for small reminders that they weren't alone. One cold November evening, as Sarah hurried home from the diner, she would discover just how powerful one small act of kindness could be, and how it would change everything. Before we continue with this incredible journey, I want to pause for just a moment. I've poured countless hours into researching and crafting the story to bring you something truly meaningful. If stories like this touch your heart, and you want to see more acts of kindness that restore faith in humanity, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. It may seem small, but it means the world to me, and it helps these important stories reach others who need to hear them. Now, let's see what happens next. Have you ever witnessed an act of kindness that completely changed your perspective? Share your story in the comments below. I read everyone, and I'd love to hear yours.
That November night, Sarah was already running late. Her bus had dropped her 2 blocks away, and she hurried through the biting cold, her mind fixed on the electric bill waiting at home, a bill marked with one terrifying phrase, "Final warning." But then she saw it. Her old sedan, the car she depended on for work, for Lily, for survival, sat crippled by a flat tire. Her heart sank. No tow truck, no savings, no way forward. She thought of her daughter asleep at home. She thought of the clinic, the diner, the fragile balance of shifts that barely kept food on the table. Without that car, it would all collapse. Headlights approach. A car slows. A young man steps out, bundled in a mechanic's jacket, carrying a toolbox, and then, as if fate had been listening, a stranger stopped. His name was Daniel Rivera, 29 years old, a local mechanic closing shop late. He saw Sarah's distress, and he chose to stop. Daniel speaks, his voice calm, reassuring. "Evening, ma'am. Rough night. Looks like you've got a flat." "Don't worry, I've got it covered." Sarah hesitates, clutching her purse, wary. Sarah dialogue, hesitant. I don't have much money. I can't afford, no charge. I'll have it swapped in 10 minutes. Just stay warm." Daniel kneeling on icy pavement, tools clinking, breath puffing in the cold. Sarah watches, conflicted between suspicion and relief. For years, Sarah had carried everything alone. Help, in her world, always came with strings. But something in Daniel's tone felt different. Genuine, kind. 10 minutes later, Daniel wipes his hands, stands. Daniel smiling, brushing snow from his jacket. There you go. Good as new. Just keep an eye on it. Probably a slow leak. Sarah reaches into her purse, pulls out a crumpled $10 bill, her only spare cash. Please, at least take this. It's all I've got. Daniel shakes his head, gently pushing her hand away. No need. Just pay it forward someday, all right. He gives a small smile, then drives off, headlights fading into the night, and just like that, in the frozen streets of Detroit, the seed was planted. One man's small act of kindness. A simple choice that would ripple farther than anyone could have imagined. Sarah sits at her kitchen table later that night. Lily sleeps in the next room. Sarah stares at the repaired keys on the counter, tears welling in her eyes. For the first time in years, Sarah felt something she had forgotten. She felt seen. Not as a single mother drowning in bills. Not as a woman defined by exhaustion. But as a human being worthy of kindness. She whispers to herself, "Pay it forward." Those 3 words would stay with her, and they would change everything. What would you do if you discovered someone living through unimaginable struggles, yet carrying so much quiet strength? Would you step in to help, or walk away? Share your thoughts below. I'd love to know how you'd respond. The next morning at the clinic, Sarah found herself looking at the world differently. Daniel's kindness lingered in her mind like a quiet echo, and for the first time in years, she felt a small spark of hope in the waiting room of the community clinic. A young mother struggles to juggle paperwork and a crying baby. Normally, Sarah would have kept her professional distance, but something nudged her, a voice reminding her, "Pay it forward." So she walked over, took a scrap of paper from the counter, and folded it into a small paper crane. She handed it to the baby, who stopped crying instantly. Sarah gently to the mother, "You're doing just fine. You're not alone." The mother exhales, relieved, tears welling. Sarah smiles faintly, realizing the power of even the smallest gesture. At home, passing it forward again that evening, Sarah sits with Lily at the table, telling her daughter about Daniel and the flat tire. Lily, eyes wide, inspired. "He just helped you? For nothing?" "That's amazing, MOM," Sarah nodding. "He said to pay it forward someday. I think we should try." The next day at school, Lily notices a classmate without lunch. She splits her sandwich in half and slides it over. That small kindness sparked a ripple. The classmate later defended Lily when she was teased for wearing second-hand clothes. A teacher took notice of Lily's empathy, praising her in front of the class. And just like that, Daniel's simple words had reached a child, and then another. Mr. Thompson's perspective cut to Mr. Thompson sitting on his porch, watching the neighborhood. He notices Sarah and Lily laughing together, lighter than before. Mr. Thompson had lived next door for years. He had seen Sarah's quiet struggles, the weariness in her face. But now, something was shifting. Her steps seemed lighter. Her smile returned, even if only in flickers. It stirred something in him too. One Sunday, he knocks on Sarah's door with a casserole dish in hand. "Mr. Thompson," gruff but kind. "You too busy? I made too much stew. Come eat with me." "Been a long time since I have had company." Sarah and Lily sitting around his table, steam rising from bowls of stew, laughter filling the once quiet house. It was a simple meal, stew and cornbread. But for Mr. Thompson, it filled a silence he had carried since his wife passed. For Sarah and Lily, it was the warmth of family they had been missing. Sarah's confidence grows patience, leaving Sarah thank you notes, one nominating her for a community service award. At night, Sarah begins sketching again in a one notebook. Word of Sarah's kindness spread quietly at the clinic. Notes of gratitude began to appear on her desk. She didn't win the award she was nominated for, but the recognition lit something inside her. That night, for the first time in a decade, she opened her old sketchbook. The pencil felt strange in her hand, but also familiar, like meeting an old friend. 1 month later, the clinic's boardroom. Sarah sits across from her supervisor. "I'm so sorry, Sarah. Due to budget cuts, we have to reduce hours. You'll still be with us, but part-time." Sarah's face falls. She leaves the clinic, papers clutched to her chest, the city cold and grey around her. Just as her hope was returning, life struck again. With her hours cut, Sarah faced the impossible, surviving on the diner job alone. For a moment, the weight was too much. The old despair crept back in. At home, she sits at the kitchen table, holding her head in her hands. Bills pile around her. Lily peeks from the doorway, concerned. But this time, Sarah wasn't alone, because kindness had already begun to weave threads of connection around her life. And those threads were stronger than she knew. Have you ever faced obstacles while trying to help someone you cared about? What challenges did you have to overcome, and what did you learn from it? Share your story in the comments below. I'd love to hear it. With her hours cut at the clinic, Sarah felt the walls closing in. The bills stacked higher, the fridge grew emptier, and the fear she had fought so hard to keep at bay came rushing back. For a moment, she wondered if Daniel's kindness had just been a fleeting spark in a long, dark tunnel. Sarah scrolling through her contacts, hesitating, then dialing Daniel. Sarah on phone. Quiet but hopeful. Daniel? This is Sarah. From the flat tire. I hate to ask, but do you know of any work? Anything at all? Daniel warm, reassuring. Say no more. My cousin runs an auto shop. He's looking for someone to handle the front desk. It's not glamorous, but it's steady. I'll put in a word for you. For the first time in years, Sarah reached out instead of breaking down. And because of that choice, a door opened. Sarah at the auto shop, adjusting to her new role. Lily reading after school at Mr. Thompson's house. When Sarah worried about the long hours, Mr. Thompson offered to watch Lily after school. What began as a favor soon became routine. Lily read stories to him in the evenings, her laughter echoing through his once silent house. In return, Mr. Thompson rediscovered a joy he thought he had lost forever. Mr. Thompson chuckling as Lily reads, "You know, kiddo, you've got quite the storyteller's voice. Your mama must be proud." Lily beaming. She is. And I think she's happy again too. The snowy night, true test of kindness, a snowy January night. Sarah walks home, bundled in her coat, arms heavy with groceries. She sees a man huddled under a bridge, shivering, clutching a worn blanket. She could have walked past. After all, she had so little to give. But then she remembered Daniel's words on that freezing night. Just pay it forward someday. Sarah approaches, kneels beside the man, removes her scarf, and wraps it around his shoulders. Sarah softly, "There's a shelter a few blocks down. They'll take care of you tonight. You're not alone, okay?" The man's eyes glisten with gratitude. He nods weakly. It wasn't much. A scarf, a moment, a reminder. But sometimes, that's all it takes to pull someone back from the edge. 1 week later, Sarah volunteers at the shelter. She spots the same man this time sitting at a table, eating warm food, slowly piecing his life back together. And in that moment, Sarah realized something profound. Kindness doesn't have to be grand. It doesn't require wealth or status. It begins with noticing, with daring to step into someone else's need, no matter how small. Sarah working steadily at the auto shop, smiling more often. Lily excelling in school, encouraged by her mother's renewed energy. Mr. Thompson laughing with neighbors again. Daniel dropping by, checking in. Sarah's journey had come full circle. From a woman just surviving, she had become a source of strength for her daughter, her neighbor, her patients, even strangers on the street. What began with a flat tire had blossomed into something greater than she could have imagined. Sarah at a neighborhood gathering, serving food, laughter filling the air. Daniel fixes kids' bikes nearby. Mr. Thompson reads stories to a group of children. Lily hands out books she's collected from school drives. The act of one stranger had sparked a chain reaction, a ripple of kindness spreading across families, streets, and hearts. And Sarah, once buried in despair, now stood at the center of it. A reminder that hope can be rebuilt, one act at a time. Engagement question. End of part 4. Narrator warm. Inspiring. This story shows how one small act of kindness can change everything. What's one way you could make a difference in someone's life today? Challenge yourself and share your commitment in the comments. You never know who might be inspired by your words. Months passed. Winter gave way to spring, and Detroit's streets slowly thawed. Life was still far from easy, but for Sarah, everything had changed. Not because her struggles had vanished, but because she no longer carried them alone. Sarah at her auto shop desk, greeting customers with confidence. Sarah now worked steadily at the auto shop, her days no longer consumed by fear of the next bill. At night, she sketched again characters, stories. The art she once abandoned, this time for Lily, who begged for new bedtime illustrations. Lily in school, raising her hand proudly, sharing her book with classmates. Lily thrived in school, her kindness and imagination blossoming. Her teachers saw not just a bright student, but a leader, one who lifted others up. Mr. Thompson at his dining table, surrounded by children from the neighborhood. Mr. Thompson found family again. His evenings were no longer silent but filled with stories, laughter, and the warmth of belonging. Daniel fixing bikes for kids during a community gathering, and Daniel. He never thought of himself as extraordinary. He was just a mechanic who stopped one night to help. But his simple choice had ignited a ripple that touched countless lives. Kindness Saturdays, a community movement quite short. Neighbors gathered in a park. Tables of food, kids running, families chatting. Sarah serves soup. Lily hands out books. Daniel works on bikes. Mr. Thompson reads aloud. Together, they started something called Kindness Saturdays. Once a month, neighbors gathered to share meals, donate clothes, tutor children, or simply check in on one another. What began with one flat tire became a movement, proof that kindness is contagious. Final message. One small act of kindness changed everything. It changed Sarah. It changed Lily. It changed Mr. Thompson, Daniel. And in time, it changed an entire community. And maybe, if we all choose kindness, it can change the world too. Stories like this remind us that extraordinary kindness exists all around us. If this touched your heart, please give this video a like. It helps more people discover these inspiring stories. And don't forget to subscribe for more tales of human kindness that will restore your faith in humanity. Most importantly, look for opportunities in your own life to be someone's unexpected blessing. So I'll leave you with this. What act of kindness will you perform this week? Share it in the comments. I can't wait to read your stories. Thank you for watching, and remember, you have the power to change someone's entire world.